This is a Tape Deck podcast.
Hello and welcome to We'll Run For It. This is your host, Tom, and with me as always are Aaron.
Hello.
Michael.
Hello.
And Diana.
I've been drinking.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of drinking, can I have that drink?
What is this, Beekeeper from Gizmo Brewing in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, that
Gizmo.
sounds delicious.
It's really smooth, actually.
I have
I'm taking my first sip.
Ooh. I have a beer from Shipyard, which is up where... Who lives up there by Shipyard and did the Shipyard run?
Oh, the BRFs, the two Jens and the two Kathys.
Yep.
Well, it's delicious, so yeah, I'm gonna have to get up there for a run. They come to a
was
lot
that?
of our...
No, that was the Smutty Nose one, wasn't
Oh,
it?
that was Smutty Nose.
Yes.
Who does
but I think
Shipyard?
But Shipyard's up there too, right?
Shipyard's
Isn't it
up
up there
that way
too?
as well.
Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
so
It's
because
good.
I know Laura Bailey from Team Shenanigans. She often talks about doing both of those.
Yeah, and she was in Maine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Yes.
Was, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
Maine's
know. Is
on
she Maine
Maine's
or-
on the list of where we want to
New
go and
Hampshire.
just drink a
I
ton
don't
of
know.
beer.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right.
That sounds like a good plan.
So we're properly hydrated.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of a special episode. We're recording early, and we know when this is coming out, but it's going to be a few weeks out, so take this with a grain of salt. But we wanted to have an episode. We came up with a theme that we'll get into in a minute. That's called That Finish Line Feeling. But before we do that, what are we running for, gang?
Oh, this is us in the future.
Yep.
Yes.
A
I
few
have to
weeks into the
decide what
future. Around Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
So you know what I'm running for?
Oh, my God. No, wait.
You know it.
I'm
The
waiting.
classic that is Turkey Hollow.
Oh God.
Hollow. I knew it was coming.
It came up on our suggested watches because we now own it. In case you were wondering,
Oh, yeah, we bought it
because we had
last
to
year.
buy it from Amazon.
We have it on DVD.
It's so good.
It's so ridiculous. So that's what I'm running for. Always love Turkey Hollow.
Yeah.
Man. Also, Mary Steenburgen was trolling us for a few weeks.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And, she was in, everything we were watching for a while. And then she showed up, of course, on The Good Place. And I was Tom was, excited about it. And I was like, Tom, she's been married to Ted Danson since, the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every time I see Mary Steenburgen, I feel like I'm like, she's married to Ted Danson. And then it's new information every time I tell Tom.
There's a lot of those situations where she's like, hey, Tom, whose mom is that? Or, hey, Tom, which actress is that person's daughter? And I'm like, I have no idea.
Oh, yeah. We were watching The Birds the other day, and Tippi Hedren was on.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on. She's
Nope.
got a famous granddaughter, too.
Nope.
Couldn't get him there. Could
Right now,
not
right
get
now.
him there.
No idea.
Melanie Griffith.
Is it
Dakota
Griffith?
Johnson is
Is it
her
Griffith or
granddaughter.
Griffin?
It's Griffith.
I just forgot that we bought it. I remembered watching it because you told us to, and that was
it
our
was
Thanksgiving
amazingly
day
bonkers.
thing that we did. But I forgot that we bought it.
Yeah.
It's the most bonkers thing I've ever seen.
It's
so that
pretty
is, of course,
crazy,
what
yeah.
I'm running for.
Yeah.
So we will be watching it again this year because now I feel like it's got to be a
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Maybe we already watched
tradition,
it. I don't
right?
know. Maybe
Oh
we
yeah,
watched
at this
it.
point
Yeah.
we've already watched it.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Anything
We're
could
in
have
the
happened.
future 5 weeks ahead, right?
This is like
So-
Doctor Who.
Oh. So since this is coming out in the future, I am running for hopefully to not hate running at this point because as of right now, 4 weeks, 5 weeks in the past, running sucks. And it's pretty bad, and hopefully it gets better. So, hopefully by the time this comes out, it's not so terrible.
Oh.
Nice.
Well, I am running for this beautiful, warm Florida weather that we're running in, that we just ran in the other day.
yeah.
And we're spending the week here, enjoying the warm weather, hopping around Disney, eating, drinking, enjoying the holiday festival.
And why are we there? Why are we in Disney?
No, your birthday
Lord.
month is over as of this
Yes, it
episode.
is.
No, it's not. It is still
Oh,
November
God.
29th.
Oh, she still got a day.
Yo, bitch.
I swear.
In the future, I am already 40 at this
Wow.
point when you're
Aaron's
listening
40.
to this.
Ugh, God, it's a big
Oh,
crit keeper.
man. Jeez.
Can I change
Diana
what I'm
won't
running
be
for?
here.
Hold on.
Diana won't be 40 for another 15 years. It's fine.
Yep, that's fine.
So
Tom,
can
what
I-
else are you running for?
I guess tomorrow I don't have to hear about your birthday anymore. If this pans out right.
Yes. Oh, that's funny. I am running for the end of my birthday month. No,
Oh, my God.
no. I am running for the friends that I all just got to run with in Space Coast.
Aw.
The 20-something plus people that are going to be down there because I counted the shirts, and there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us.
That Turkey Hollow watch party was really fun. I'm glad we did that.
It's gonna be so awesome.
I'm glad we had a
amazing.
blow-up screen on the beach and put it on. Wait, that's a Henson property. We could watch that in Disney, can't
Oh,
we?
gosh.
Yep.
Yes, probably.
We could have them play that on one of those movie nights
Oh,
at
my
one
gosh.
of the resorts.
Anyway, so I'm running for all of the friendship in the world and all the friends that came and ran with me.
Oh,
Thanks,
awesome.
guys.
That's
I love
awesome.
you.
Because we celebrated your birthday?
Yes. I love Tom's disgust. This is the only year that I will do this, guys. I promise. After this, you don't have to hear from me for another 10.
Oh,
you're
must be
50.
nice.
To our listeners out there, that's what a lie sounds like.
Oh, my God.
All right, so let's get into it, right? We wanted to have this episode where we talk about that finish line feeling because I think no matter how you or how you start or why you run, it could be to lose weight, it could be to clear your head, it could be to compete against others and push yourself or just for the camaraderie or all the friendships that Aaron just mentioned. Everybody runs for different reasons, but a commonality that we all have is when you cross that finish line.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's pretty unifying no matter what your pace is, what your distance is. It really doesn't matter. When you cross that finish line, something clicks in your brain. And that's what we wanted to talk about today. So we are going to share some of our favorite finish line stories. Then we're going to hear from our listeners because this is very listener-centric. Folks sent us in some voicemails, which is awesome. And then some people also sent us some messages, so we'll read those. So who wants to kick us off with a finish line story?
I mean, I have multiple ones, but ones that are super quick versus ones that are
Yeah, I don't have any
I don't
super
have
long ones.
any real long stories. So I mean, we can go around the horn and pick a couple, and then if somebody has something else to chime in about,
All right. Do we want to go like we do with Runner Studio alphabetically?
sure, Diana.
Oh gosh, I am not prepared. So when I was thinking about kind of that finish line feeling, I was thinking about just the sense of relief that comes from crossing the finish line.
Yeah.
I know everyone feels really excited after, but I definitely am a sigh of relief. Oh my gosh, I did it. It's done. I'm really excited about that. And then I don't know, for the first, I started dating Tom, I don't know, about a year after I started running. So a lot of my finish line stories or my finish line feeling, I guess, was all Tom, because even before he started running, he would come and he would cheer me on for everything I did. It didn't matter if it was
Aw.
a 5K, it was always Tom just waiting for me. Even one of the first trips that we took was him coming to my first half marathon at Avengers in Disneyland. And I just remember him being at the finish line for that race. So I typically don't have too many people that come and cheer me on. I know some people have kind of that network of people that do, but
Yeah.
it's either I don't know. It's either everyone who's running the race together, or it's Tom. If it's not that, it's either nobody or it's Tom, and it's always Tom. So he is my finish line.
Aw. I feel like
the
that's
sweetest
really
thing I've ever
sweet.
heard.
And now I'm gonna cry.
Aww.
I mean, guys, I know I don't act like it, but I like him.
Oh my god. So let me share one.
Oh, okay.
I mean, my entire running career is not because of I met Diana, and I got into something that she was passionate about, and I fell in love with it too. So I guess I'll go with my first half marathon, which was Wine and Dine 2016. What year is it?
I don't know. We've been together forever.
That's 5 years ago.
I think
was
it was
a long
2016.
time
Is that
years
right?
ago.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a nightmare.
Anywho, because this is the longest I'd run at that time. I started with a 5K, then a 10K, then a 5 miler, 10K, the Charles Street 12 miler. I trained up to it. I put all these miles in. I did the gallery method. I lived on the treadmill. And I remember because I fanboyed out when I met Galloway at the expo. So like the whole thing was a big thing for me. The whole fanfare of Run Disney was a big thing for me. But when we were doing the half, I immediately turned into a sack of bricks. I was nasty. I was hot. Diana was sort of lying to me to keep me going. The balloon ladies were on my heels. It was terrible. I remember I finished the race. I walked into Epcot with the balloon ladies, like side by side.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, everything about it was terrible. But I remember because she had done this was when she was completing the Castle to Chateau challenge. So,
yeah.
So she went off and got her medal, and I was standing between two of the tents, like, some sponsors' tents, and I had this euphoric rush to the head of pride, where like it was weird. I almost cried because honestly, I was like, I cannot believe I put this much effort into something and I finished it. And I'm sure the time was terrible. It was probably 16, 17-minute miles, but like it was like the first time where that pride really smacked me in the face, and I was like, I sort of belong here now, right? Because when you're getting into running and you're starting to meet runners, everyone's like, "What do you run?" And if I'm like, "I only do 5Ks," you kind of don't feel like you're part of the group, right? Like you cannot fake a half marathon. I don't care who you are. It's really hard to fake a half marathon. So the sense of accomplishment at that first half marathon was probably the biggest thing that kept me running up until now.
You can't fake a half marathon, Michael. Did you hear that?
I don't think you can. Okay,
I just
hold
told
on.
her to. I just told her
I
to
know.
fake
Tried to
Goofy.
tell me. Listen. No,
I told her to
I was
fake
just
Goofy.
because he told me that I could fake Goofy, and I was like, I was so annoyed yesterday. In case
With
you
the
didn't
amount of
see
miles you guys do, maybe.
Yeah,
But you haven't been
No,
doing a ton of
I
miles.
cannot.
Michael
Yes,
has been.
that's my point. Is that I have not been putting in the miles.
Let me
I
edit.
cannot
Let me
fake
edit that.
Megan
Goofy.
had my back. Megan had
Oh
my
my
back.
god.
Let me edit that. I can't fake a half marathon.
No, Tom, I agree with you.
Des or Michael or Mike Wardian or
Yeah,
there are people that
Dumb
could
people.
that could not train at all, walk up and win a half marathon. That's
probably.
fine. That's fine. For me, absolutely not. If I
No,
tried to just waltz up and start a half marathon, I would die.
Tom, I'm with you. I agree with you. I was just kind of kidding because Michael and Megan tried to convince me yesterday that I could fake my way through a marathon, and I was not having it. And
Do you
then they
mean
with
she's
Goofy.
wrong.
Five weeks ago?
Jesus Christ.
5 weeks
Yes,
ago.
5 weeks ago,
Yes.
Michael and Megan were trying to convince me that I could. Anyway, I don't know. I've thought a lot about this. I have crossed so many finish lines that it is hard to was hard for me to really pick out like a standout one. I mean, obviously there's my very first one from my very first half marathon where I was injured and I literally came hobbling over the finish line, hysterically crying, because I had to walk like 8 miles of it. But for some stupid reason, I decided that I was still going to walk my way to this finish because I had trained, and it was stupid and I shouldn't have done it because I then couldn't run for like 3 months later because I injured myself. So, I mean, obviously that's memorable. My very first marathon was super memorable. The Marine Corps marathon, crossing the finish line. I mean, I cried probably for my first like few races. I cried coming over the New York City marathon finish line, the Marine Corps one, when the Marine put their medal. But my favorite races, my favorite finish lines have always been when there's friends there. Yeah. And Diana and I just posted one to our stories 5 weeks ago from when Diana was at the Marine Corps marathon finish line. And it was like my third or fourth marathon at that point. And I had my New York City marathon poncho. I put that on and I changed underneath it. And while I was changing, Diana was holding a beer up to my mouth so that I could drink beer while I was changing.
Well, you
that I
needed
could have my
that.
finish line beer.
We had just done a 10K. We were fine.
Yep.
We went to the bar to wait for you guys.
Yes, we did.
That was like, I mean, like that memory, or like Shamrock when you come across the finish line with all your friends and then you go to the tent and you party. Like, I think my favorite finish lines are the ones where you cross with your friends, or your friends are there right when you finish, and there's people to celebrate with. Even like Chicago half marathon that I just did, you know, the 5 of us crossing all at the same time, like together, as like the camaraderie that you feel in that. Like, I think that's my favorite feeling, is when you do it with people. I'm really looking forward to doing.
So you're into the group stuff?
I am.
No, I'm with
Pineapples
you.
and all.
Boy,
No,
Margaritaville really
when-
rubbed off on you.
I'm
Sure
looking
did.
forward to like the marathon weekend. Maria's going to do her first dopey.
True.
I like that feeling and being able to be there for someone. Like, you know, Diana, when she finished her first dopey, like those are the feelings that I love the most about finishing.
That's a finish line story. And I know we've told it,
Yeah, I'm not telling that story again.
but briefly,
Yeah, we've definitely done that one.
We've
yeah.
told it
you
a
want-
thousand
okay,
times.
fine.
We've told it at least 6 times.
All right.
Like,
At least
Probably, yeah.
no need.
Okay.
Probably.
Gosh. Yes, that was, yeah. But I mean, that's still one of my favorite finish line stories. Like,
Yeah.
I love that story of finding Diana at mile 23 and then
Yep.
drinking our way across the finish line. I
Yeah.
mean, like,
It's a good one.
those are the moments that I love the most.
Yeah. The first memorable one for me, it was the weekend I did the back-to-back marathons. I did Diffusky Island and Jekyll Island in South Carolina and Georgia. And I had, for me, I had a time goal for those 2 races. I wanted to go sub 5 for both of them, which isn't like crazy, I understand. But for, you know, it can also be super hard for people.
I was going to say, for some people, 5 hours
I mean,
is like,
like for me at that time, my marathons were probably in the 4:10 range. Because I was coming off of Delaware at like 4:10 or 4:12 or something like that. So like 4:20ish, say. So it was a 4:20 marathoner. So I gave myself a goal that was relatively aggressive for back-to-backs. And so the first day was a little warm. I remember finishing, but the only thing I remember after that finish was I talked to Pat Reagan, the ultra runner, for a while, for like good 45 minutes or so in the
Oh,
tent.
wow.
Super, super nice guy, because he ran the race. He's local there. Just really genuinely nice human being. But the next day I needed to get sub 5 again. And overnight, a massive nor'easter came through.
Oh, God.
And while the temperatures were better, because it was like 75 the first race, the second race, this is a like coastal island, like barrier island, that's really long north-south. And the winds were whipping dead out of the north. So you kind of looped the island, and when you went and made the turn down south to head north, it was like in your face for 10 miles. So I got to a point like around mile like 16 or 17 where I was like, I'm not going to make the 5 hours. And I was really disappointed because I felt really good. And then, I was still grinding. And, I think around mile 20 or 21, I hit like a 13 or 14 minute mile. And I was like, I had texted Aaron. I was like, well, I don't think I'm making it. But like right after I sent that, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to just run as hard as I can for the last 5 miles and see what happens. And I ended up running like, I dropped my pace way down. Like I was running low 10s for a while, then low and mid 9s to finish it out. And like was past the thing that kept me going was I was passing people the entire way because you're at that 5-ish hour mark of a marathon. Everybody's struggling, and I don't know. I just found this gear and just went and ran my butt off and finished and like basically collapsed after the finish line with emotion.
Yeah,
because it was like I just let everything into it. I don't tend to be exuberant at finishes. I tend to be like exhausted. What? Like
Michael, not exuberant.
I am emotional.
So weird.
I am emotional though.
Yeah.
Like I get more emotional at finish lines.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I guess like being exuberant I guess is an emotion as well, but
yeah.
It's I don't know. Like I always thought it was like weird like people like crying at a finish line, and then just like Aaron, like for my first however many races, I cried at like every finish line.
Yeah,
like you just didn't. Yeah, I didn't understand. Like,
and the New York City one, I didn't expect to because I like it wasn't my first race. It wasn't like I was pretty far into half marathons at that point. I'd done my first marathon, so I wasn't expecting the emotion. And as you come around and there's like these like you enter like Central Park and then like you come around and there's crowds and crowds and crowds of people and like everyone's cheering, and then I like unexpectedly got a sub 5 by like a minute, and I wasn't expecting to. I mean, the second I crossed that finish line, I was hard sobbing, and I had no idea why.
It's just like sometimes it's like your mood, you're exhausted, so like that has something to do with it. But you just accomplished something you worked really hard for.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. Like that's how I kind of get like it drains me emotionally generally.
Yeah.
Like I know my early marathons did that. Like a lot of the ones in the middle didn't really. I think you hit a point where you kind of like do a certain race a bunch of times and it's like okay, but there's still ones that you do where it's like, oh, I've hit, like if you hit a PR or something like that where you've expended so much emotionally that you know.
Yeah. I remember the first time I did the Charles Street 12, I was really nervous. And I've talked about doing the Charles Street 12 for the first time a lot. That was the race where I like didn't know I could finish. And I asked Tom what I should do. And he said, sit down and I'll come pick you up. So I was really nervous and I was training for that first half marathon. And I didn't know they were going to do this. I knew Tom was going to be there because he dropped me off at the start line, and it's just you start and end at a different spot. But my friends like Nikki and Nicole, this is like the only race I've ever done. Most of the races I do, honestly, are with them, so they're always with me at the finish line. But they weren't running that day, and they came and they had signs for me as I was crossing the finish line. And I just remember just being like just so excited and happy to see them. And then you're always like, all right, let's do another one. I don't know. There are very few times when I finish a race where I'm ready to quit running, unless it's Baltimore. And then I'm ready to quit. But, like, I don't know. As miserable as you feel on the course, it's so weird that, like, at the finish line, you're like, what's next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually an interesting thing because a lot of people who are like one and doners or like, you know, and I remember Marine Corps, like the first marathon, I was like, I am never doing a marathon again. There's no way I'm ever doing this again. And within like an hour of crossing that finish line, I was like, I kind of want to do another one.
The finish line is crack. Like, you're addicted to
Yeah,
it. Like,
yeah.
and you forget how miserable you were during training because you're miserable while you're training.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't convince me otherwise that most people aren't miserable, at least for like half of their training.
Yeah, no, I
like,
mean, it's
they don't
true.
feel like doing it. They don't want to do it. They're tired. They have a bad day. Like, they've got a lot going on at like work or home or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, it's just a lot. And then all that just goes away and you have like selective memory
Yeah.
at the finish line. And then you get the memory back as soon as you start training again. You're like, why
Yeah.
didn't I remember this? But
Yeah.
like,
No, I agree though. I mean, I don't know why. I even remember the moment when I was just like walking back to the hotel. I was like, this is it. It's over. Like, what do I do now? Like, I should do another one. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what, why would I ever think that to myself?
yeah.
Tom, do you have another finish line you remember?
I'm sorry. I guess I'll say Rockin' the Knob because when we were doing it, for the first half of it, me and Kate mentally were signing up for the half marathon. and then we got to the bottom of Throat Punch Hill, and then we got up Throat Punch Hill, and both of us had quit altogether. We were like, we're absolutely done. And then on our watches, we get to 6.2 because it was a 10K. And we're like, where's the finish line? And then like maybe a half mile, a little bit more than a half mile past that was the actual finish line. And we were both completely spent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we had talked ourselves into signing up for the half. We talked ourselves out of ever running again. And then sort of past that in the car going home, we're like, we could do that again now that we know what it's like. And then I guess a month and a half ago in Margaritaville, I signed up for Rockin' the Knob half, and I'm going to try to
Yeah, we
get
didn't
Kate to
mention
do
that.
it with me.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
I'm so glad I have an easy out for that. I'm like, my knee, I can't. I'm so sorry.
And I apologize to Kate because I signed up without talking to her, but that's my partner in crime. And Kate, if you're listening, we should do it.
Yeah. Well, in Baltimore, hun, doesn't she always do the half? So
Oh yeah, she
she's
said she was
fast.
doing
Yep.
the half too.
She's
next
doing the
year.
half.
Yeah.
She wants vengeance. Michael and I might just drop back to the half.
Depends on what we have going on next fall. We haven't lined up our schedule yet for
Yeah,
the year,
we have
so
a
long-term
possible 100-miler goal in October.
But actually, the marathon would be a great training.
Oh God, don't tell me that. Anyway,
Yeah.
But so yeah, that finish
Yeah.
line sticks
Oh,
out
that's
because
definitely one where you give everything.
it
yeah,
was a trail race, and I was scared the entire time, like because I'd been doing road races for I guess a couple
Yeah.
years now, and my confidence in not tripping on a road, even the terrible Baltimore roads, my confidence is pretty high. I mean, I'll still watch everybody else's feet and be obnoxious about it, but like my own feet, like I'm not scared to trip necessarily. And in Rockin' the Knob, that was my biggest fear.
Yeah. You know, I remember another Tom story for one of his races that I came and cheered him on. So he did the Annapolis 10K, which is in November. And that was one of those races where I had a bad experience and then refused to sign up for it again. But it was like a bad experience in my own doing. It was like the weekend after I did my first half marathon. And I was like, I'll do a 10K after my first half marathon because that's fine. And it wasn't, because after your first half marathon, your body is broken.
Oh my god!
And so Tom signed up for this race, I guess the next year, and it was the first race he had signed up for by himself, that he wasn't going to run with anybody. And even at that point, like, we don't run every race together, and we've never run every race together. It's just some races, but we're always like at least on the course together or something like
Yeah.
this. And he had just done it by himself, and I was cheering for him. Nikki and Nicole, our cheerleaders, came, and the three of us had signs and cowbells and all of that. And I just remember how excited and proud Tom looked just coming across the finish line. And Annapolis is hilly, which is why I think it's miserable. But yeah, he was just so excited for himself. It's like, I always think it's good for Tom when he does these things where he just decides he's going to sign up and go do it.
I think it reinforces the fact that you know you belong there. Does that sound weird?
No, I get that. Yeah.
Like if you just do things in a group or I'm tied to one person all the time. Like mentally, I think it does something when you're like, I'm going to go out on my own and try something.
Mm-hmm.
And I pray to God there at the finish line.
No, I get that.
I mean, obviously one of my favorite finish lines, maybe it's not obvious, I don't know, was the 55 miler. I feel like if you talk about emotions, like
is that the one you won?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's got to be the best feeling in the world. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about this kind of yesterday when we were at 5 weeks ago when we were at the bar with our friend Megan. It was a race where I literally spent my entire time almost looking over my shoulder, like the literal sense of like I am looking over my shoulder because I knew I was the first place female, and so
for like 7 hours
there was just this total sense of like first accomplishment, second relief, like that I am done and don't have to keep because. For that last few hours, all I could think to myself the whole time was just keep moving. There's someone behind you. Just keep moving. And I never have had that feeling where I'm like literally being chased the whole time. And so the sense of just relief of being done and not to have that feeling anymore, I think was almost the strongest thing that I felt when I crossed the finish line. But yeah, I mean, the pride, I don't know. I guess I don't really talk about it a ton just because I feel like I'm bragging and I don't I know people are faster than I am on the trails and that circumstances that year were really good. And I like,
if I had won, I would wear a t-shirt that said that I had won all the time. I'd wear it out under a hoodie and then just casually take my hoodie off at dinner.
Just
it's
getting hot in here.
We were at Orange Theory the other day, and Michael was telling somebody that he's got this race upcoming that happened 4 weeks ago now. And he just he randomly turns. He's like, "Oh yeah, well she's the reigning champion," and I'm like, "No one cares." So it was nice. He brags about it sometimes. Yeah, but obviously that's one of my all-time favorite finish lines, just because I didn't know that I could run 55 miles. So just the fact that I ran 55 miles, I won 55 miles, and it was over. Because I needed it to be over because I was just ran 55 miles.
Oh man. I guess
amazing.
For me, another one was the Patapsco 50K. I had to finish back a couple of years ago. You had to have finished a 50K in a certain amount of time to even enter Batona. And Batona was the next week after that. So I was going to run the Patapsco 50K to be eligible for it. Thankfully for me, because I was still pretty novice trail runner at the time, Patapsco flooded out, as it has a tendency to do, and it ended up on that airport loop, the 10-mile loop around BWI.
Is that when you guys stayed at our place?
No, this was before Michael and I even.
Yeah. So
gotcha.
I ended up running the 3 loops around that to get the 50K, and I remember finishing, running as hard as I could to finish because I wanted to get sub 6. I think I just finished just over 6, but and then the race director just gave me a big hug at the end.
Oh,
I was like, oh wow, that was really nice. But he hugged everybody who finished, and then I ran my second 50K the next week because I was stupid. But if it was the real race, I probably wouldn't even have finished.
Yeah,
because it's a really hard race.
Yeah, well, Patapsco, which we found out from the Maryland Heat race, is very hard course. I think I've run so many races at this point. I mean, I've lost track of. I actually used to. I think I've said this. Had a spreadsheet of like all of my races. I'm definitely over 30 half marathons at this point.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it's hard for me to like really remember every single finish line, but I'd say obviously the marathons are memorable, but for me, it really is who you run with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. My most fun race memories in general, but especially finish lines, have been races where we've been with people, particularly those races where we cross the race with a drink in the hand. I think all races and all finish lines should really end with a drink in your hand. I don't care if you're like 0.1 or 0.2 away from the finish line. Someone should hand you a drink and you should cross the finish line with it. Sometimes it's Michael doing a half marathon, finishing the half marathon, showering, and then meeting us with the beer at mile 10. That's fine. But just having a beer for us and just crossing the line with like friends or singing. I don't know. I love Shamrock as well, and I complain about it because I hate driving down there. But the one thing I do like is the end of that race, you come onto the boardwalk, especially when you're with like a big group of people. I always feel like we're always like singing. Like as soon as we get on the boardwalk, we're singing like Moana, or we're singing Frozen, or we're just like screaming. And those, I think, are the best finish lines. The best finish lines are when you make it when you're obnoxious to other people as well.
Tom
I like that.
shook his head slightly.
That.
He's got this look on his face. Tom doesn't agree with being obnoxious. I'm not sure.
No, I agree.
You earned the right to be obnoxious.
Yes.
Like we were yesterday at Space Ghost.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We were definitely obnoxious at
I ran
Space
away.
Ghost.
I remember running away from you guys.
Yeah.
I'm just going to assume. I'm going to assume someone got a drink to us. And thank you, whoever that was.
I hear there's a Chiak that might not be running.
Oh, yeah, Lisa's not running.
So maybe, perhaps, we could bribe her in the past to get us some drinks for the finish.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's her penance for not running.
Yep, that's what she gets.
So thanks, Lisa, if you brought us drinks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before, I don't know if we want to move on, but before we do, and I know we've mentioned this a million times, but one of my favorite finish lines was just the whole year that Diana was training, or the half year, I guess, that Diana was training for Dopey. She really committed to it. She didn't skip runs. She did long runs during the week.
That's a lie.
Whatever. I'm trying to pay her a compliment. Just let it happen. So she really, really prepared, and then she executed upon that. And me and Lisa race chased Dopey. We ran some of it, but seeing her wake up each of those mornings and then finally walking across that finish line with her drink, like, that was the culmination of a lot of training and a lot of preparation. So, like, it's kind of like Lord of the Rings. It's like, man, that took way too long, and now it's over. What do you want to do next?
Should we move on to the voice recordings we got from our listeners?
Yeah.
To hear some of theirs?
I'm so excited to hear from everybody.
All right. So the way that they show up in my drive is in alphabetical order. So we're going to go alphabetically.
Sounds good.
So Anna Runs on Coffee is the first person.
Hey guys, this is Anna. I started thinking about my finish line story and realized that my running kind of has two different parts to it. And one is the selfish, more about me than anybody else, where I run for me. And my favorite finish line was actually coming across my first marathon, which was the Chicago Marathon. Because I've always wanted to be able to do a marathon. But actually my favorite part was because I finished it with my dad. He had done several marathons already, so he ran at my pace to help me get through it. But growing up, he always talked about how he hoped one of his kids would start doing marathons so he could kind of pass on the marathon baton. So it was really special to be able to do that with him. He still runs marathons and still much faster than me, but it was kind of fun to have that experience. And then when I started to think about it, I realized that the time that I had actually like the most joy was when I ran 5Ks for the first time with each of my kids. And I was just so happy and so proud of them the entire time to see how hard they were working and just how happy they were when they came across the finish line. And it just felt amazing to be able to experience that with them and just be so happy and proud of them. And the immediate next feeling that I had each time was, oh my gosh, that's how my dad must have felt with me when I finished my marathon. So it's just a really cool, like full circle kind of experience. So those are my, I guess, 3 favorite finish lines: marathon with my dad and the 2 5Ks with each of my kids. I hope you all have happy holidays.
Aww.
Oh,
That's
Anna,
a
you're
good
going to
one.
make me cry.
It's gonna make
Seriously.
us cry. I didn't listen to any of these before. I listened to the first 2 seconds to make sure I could hear them, but I didn't actually listen to any of them. And that was really sweet.
That was really nice. It is, and I mean, I guess we all talked about this, that the finish line is even better when you're with someone you love. So
Yeah.
I just love that. Yep.
And getting to see someone do it for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I mean, obviously we were drunk when we finished, but when we finished with you, or what I imagine is going to be watching Maria gets across those finish lines, and those moments of seeing someone do it for the first time I'm going to cry. I'm really going to cry. Really
Oh yeah.
emotional.
When Tom finishes his marathon, I mean, I'll be drunk, but I'll probably cry as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to Angie.
Hey everyone, this is Angie. I wanted to share my favorite finish line story. It's actually not one of my finishes, but my mom Barb's finish. You guys might not know this, but my mom was the one who actually got me into running. She set a goal of running a marathon before she turned 60. That was back in 2007. And so my sisters and I all signed up to run a half marathon with her to support her in her training. And that's how I started running in the first place. She had a lot of bad luck in getting her first marathon finish. The 2007 Chicago Marathon, which is the one that she was signed up for, ended up being a nightmare. They had to close the course early because it was so hot and because somebody actually died. So she got pulled off the course about mile 18. And then she tried again for a couple of years to get a marathon finish, but she had IT band trouble and just, things kept coming up. So finally, in 2010, she was signed up to run the Chicago Marathon again. My sisters and I were all in Chicago to support her, and we ran the last 8 miles of the marathon with her. So getting to be there with her to support her and seeing kind of like the stars finally align in terms of her not being injured was so great. And I just remember being so happy for her, when we had to get off the course and she ran through the finisher chute and got her first marathon finish. So yeah, favorite finish of all time.
I love it. I love that her favorite story isn't even her own story. Of course it is, because Angie's like an angel.
That's true.
Oh gosh.
Angie's
Also,
like an angel.
We're gonna get in a time machine right now, because I know we're recording this for the future, but Angie is supposed to have a baby today, and the baby is late. But she went out and she ran a 5K this morning.
Oh my
God, I totally
What?
didn't see that. That's crazy.
Oh my god.
I thought her due date was a couple of days ago. I guess
Yeah.
not. Oh, that
Yeah,
was
I
her
think it's
old
supposed
due
to
date,
come-
right?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she-
I think she was
Okay.
supposed to. I
Halloween,
think winter
yeah.
was supposed to come today, and she's delaying her appearance. But yeah,
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming. And yeah.
And Angie's
did
crazy.
A insane 5K today.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
Yep.
All right, we've got Kathy next. Kathy.
Hey, we'll run for. This is Kathy Breslin, here to talk about my finish line stories. The most memorable ones for me are when I completed my first half marathon back in 2012 and my first marathon back in 2014. The feeling of crossing that finish line for those two races was something that I can't even describe. I had such a feeling of pride, accomplishment. I was just amazed that I was able to do it, and that feeling lasted for days. It was truly just such an awesome experience, and to see my family and friends there at the end to cheer me on. It was just two of the best days of my life, absolutely. But really, honestly, for me now is seeing my friends cross the finish line, and being able to run alongside them. And I've had the privilege of running alongside friends when they've done their first 5K, 10K, half marathon. I helped and trained with two friends for their first marathon, and just seeing them achieve their goals and crossing the finish line is just, I swell with pride every time I see them. I just get so excited for them. It's just such an awesome experience to be able to run alongside people and see them cross, and just being able to cheer them on throughout the whole race. It's just, it's awesome. And I think that's what I love most about running and the running community too, is just the support everybody gives each other. Just recently I had a friend complete the Boston Marathon, and you know, she was training for the past 2 years for this race, and seeing her turn the corner and seeing us and burst into tears, it was just such an amazing experience. And I love it. I think that's honestly really my favorite part about races, and being able to see everybody achieve their goals. It's awesome.
Guys, have we talked about what a crier I am?
Oh my God.
I know. It's just, everyone is getting us so emotional.
I'm so ridiculous, I can't stop.
Oh my God.
Michael's going to make fun of me forever.
Yes. Oh, also, I got a fraud alert on my credit card while we're doing this.
Oh, cool. Oh my God.
Gotta love that.
Oh my God.
While you're crying, I'm dealing with a fraud alert. Apologies.
Oh my God. Okay. I agree with Kathy, though. As we've said, watching your friends cross finish lines is an amazing feeling.
Oh yeah, that was one of my other ones when we ran the B&A marathon, and you wanted to throw up at the end, and I got you across the finish line.
I literally was cursing at him because he was trying to make me run like a sub 10 pace at like mile 20 something, and I was like, I can't do this. You're effing crazy.
But you finished with a PR.
I did. Yeah. All right. All right. Greg in Orlando.
What's up, Little Run 4? This is Greg in Orlando. They say you never forget your first marathon finish, and that's definitely the case for me. It's 2017 Walt Disney World Marathon. I was only really expecting to do 13.1 miles and get swept. But there I am. I'm in Mexico. I've been on my feet for 7 hours, and I'm partaking in a nice frozen margarita. I head out, finish my first marathon. You turn the corner, and there's a choir of gospel singers. Joyous occasion. You turn another corner, there you see it, the finish line, margarita in hand, and of course they're interviewing someone who is celebrating his sobriety by finishing the Walt Disney World Marathon. Congrats to that guy. Of course, it's a little weird. I have a margarita in my hand, but we're going to finish. We crossed that finish line. I've never been in such pain, and I remember walking and then having to go and get on the monorail because I had somehow parked at Epcot and got lost that morning. It was terrible, but I do it again any time. Congrats on your finish lines, Will Run 4, and I will see you soon.
Yeah, that's a good one, because that's how I kind of remember. My first one was the same year as his. It was the same race.
Yeah.
And I remember coming around, like, it was so cold. So cold. I just remember how sore I was.
Well, Greg was the accidental marathoner.
Yeah,
I remember.
the accidental marathoner.
He wasn't supposed to be running a marathon.
I at least had trained for a marathon.
Yeah, so he had not. And it's hard to imagine that now, looking at all that Greg has accomplished and all the finish lines that he's crossed at this point in his life, that at one point he was an accidental marathoner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can't believe he did that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess what do you do? I just think about how much, and he said like how much pain he was in, how much pain I was in after my first half marathon, and then I had to walk around Disneyland. I would step off curbs and fall. Like, I don't like.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So to be trained for 13, which you're probably only training for, like, what do you train up to? Like 10 or 11?
10, 11.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And then to do another 10. And I remember the first time you run 10 miles, it feels like it's the longest distance in the world.
Oh,
like,
God, yeah.
Like, so
You're like, oh, my God, how do people do this?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. All right. We have Laura Duxon. We haven't heard from her in a little while. She said that she's been listening still, but she's just waddling around now with her big old pregnant belly.
Well, come on, Laura. I mean, where's your 5Ks on your due date?
Step your game
Come
up.
on, step your game
up. Laura, don't listen to any of them. Don't listen to any of them. You do
Didn't say anything.
You listen to your body. You do you.
Hi, Will Run for Family. This is Laura Duxon from the Netherlands. When I think about that finish line feeling, I don't think about when I hit a huge PR. I think about the races that were most memorable to me. I have a feeling the finish line feeling is built up from months. Firstly, you find your race. Secondly, you get that exciting feeling when you sign up, but also a feeling of, oh my goodness, what did I just do? And then training starts. You nailed that long run. You had to skip a run because life happens. You don't always feel like putting on your running shoes. But once you get out there, who ever regretted a run anyway? You start planning your trip, your outfits and your race, and then race day finally arrives. My most memorable finish line were both during my first half at Disneyland Paris and my first full at Walt Disney World as part of the Dopey Challenge. You are getting that exciting and nervous feeling again when you're standing in the corrals just waiting to start. And then after months of training and hard work and that very early alarm clock, you finally get to start. Some miles will fly by, some miles will just feel like they're never ending. But once that finish line is in sight, you see people in front of you raising their arms. You hear the music pumping. The announcer may even say your name. This is what it all makes it so worth it. That race and finish line is a celebration of all your hard work. Enjoy it. Take it all in. You deserve this.
That couldn't be more of a true statement in that the finish line is a single moment. It's a single event, but it's the culmination of a ton of different, decisions that gets you there. Laura, you're awesome.
She's so
Guys,
great.
I just cried again.
Erin is just bawling.
Erin's in her feelings today.
I'm in my feelings.
Oh, my God.
But like her description of like all that culmination, like the moment you sign up for a race, that nervous feeling that you get inside where you're like, what did I just do? Like she's just so spot on with all of it. It was just so like perfectly described.
Yeah, I know. I'm in a bunch of different running groups like the Be Our Guests, Lizards, and WDW Radio and all of that. And I always just remember Lou Mongello. And this is when I first started running and listening to his podcast. I mean, years and years and years ago. He was like, the race and is your celebration. You put all the hard work in. Yeah. Now it's your time to celebrate. So the finish line is really that moment. So she summed it up perfectly.
All right, and now we have Jamie.
Whoop, Jamie.
Hey, Will Run for Family. Jamie here. Just got done after race 2 in 2 days. Finished second in my age group in this one, fourth in yesterday's race, and
wow.
Just got a few more races to do and finishing up the year with the half marathon in December. And just want to say thanks, guys, for everything you put out. I really enjoy the banter. Tom, Diana, Aaron, you guys carry the show. Michael, you're just the ass. We all know that. And
Nice.
I'm still filing a protest over the race in Raleigh since it was on a unsanctioned course. But glad we all got to run together, and just looking forward to the rest of the shows or rest of the year and what's coming in next year, and as many races as I can try to get in and do. I just won't do any more back-to-back days because I'm pretty exhausted right now. But guys, keep it up, and look forward to many more years from the show. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Oh, Jamie, we love you. I love your Inside the Runner studio 1,000 years ago. And
That was so long ago.
It was so long ago. And he inspires me so, so much. Like, I can't get over how fast he is and how much work he puts in. And I don't know, he's just so great. And I love that he
inspired
Michael.
me as I was. Yeah, he inspired me as I was blowing by him on the trail.
Oh my God. I thought that
Shots
we
fired.
wait. I thought that we agreed that we destroyed or dismantled toxic masculinity,
sorry.
and there goes Michael again.
Nope, sorry. No, I take it back.
Oh my God.
We
never
cured
learns.
toxic masculinity.
Did I mention that
never
finish line
learns.
feeling I had when I ran ahead of Jamie?
Oh my gosh.
No, but thank you.
Yes.
Honestly, it's great to see how much he's still loving it, and I can't wait to see his feeling when he gets to that finish line at the first half.
The half marathon.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
Is he signed up for his first half marathon? What is
in
it?
December.
In a couple weeks from when this
from this
out.
when this airs. Yeah.
yeah. So.
Oh, he's gonna kill it. He's gonna
Yes.
kill it.
He will.
Is it down south? I don't know where he
I
lives.
think it's locally to him in North Carolina somewhere.
Yeah, it's in North Carolina. I think it's
Okay.
one that another friend of mine always does.
Yeah.
Nice.
But,
Nice.
yeah, that's Jamie. And who do we have up next?
All right, we have Maria, perfectly imperfect as she is.
Hello, Familia Will Run For. This is Maria, your friendly neighborhood troll and Michael's bestie. I'm here to tell you about my favorite finish line feels. When I started running, the first thing someone told me was, no matter how crazy a race is, or how tough, or how awful you felt, always finish the race with your hands up in the air and a smile on your face. Because at the end of the day, you did the damn thing. Doesn't matter how fast, doesn't matter how slow you went. You crossed that finish line, you got it done.
Yes, queen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Your bestie.
Yeah, that's a good strategy there.
We have two Megans. We have this first Megan is the Megan we ran with today, actually, or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I don't
5
know.
weeks ago.
However long.
We had a great charcuterie board last night.
We did with her. Yes. She randomly texted us like, "Hey, I have a charcuterie board. Do you guys want to go to Zed's?"
I've wanted you to pronounce that.
It's
I
pronounced
learned-
shark coochie.
Shark coochie board.
Yesterday
we gave a lesson in how to say
I
it.
finally
last night.
think I actually can't say that if Michael hadn't just said it right before me that I would have remembered how to say it. Anyway, ready? Megan.
After completing the 4x4x48 challenge last March, a couple of good friends of mine, including Erin from Will Run For Podcast, encouraged me and said, you could probably run a marathon. So I started researching for one that might fit my needs and came across the Steamtown Marathon and signed up, started training last summer for it, did really well following the Hal Higdon marathon training program, and worked very hard to get there. And as the date approached for the marathon, Unfortunately, I was informed that it was canceled. I was a bit devastated to find that out, and so quickly found another to replace for that same date. I also signed up for the Boston Marathon virtual race, so it had to be done on that particular weekend, October 9th, 10th. A coworker and I registered for the Mohawk on Hudson River Marathon in Albany and prepared to go up there. It's a good coworker friend of mine that has had 3 other marathons under her belt. Her pace is a little bit quicker than mine, but we weren't training together, so we decided we'd definitely run our own races, but I always anticipated that she would finish ahead of me, given her experience running marathons before. I was super excited. Again, this is my first time running a marathon, got prepped. We stayed in a hotel up there. It was great. We had a great time. Got ready for our race and had a beautiful day for it. Weather was pristine and perfect. Ran the race. I only struggled at mile 23 on where my legs were just really tired. But anyway, once I finished, I was super excited. I was elated. I was hoping to finish under 4 hours. I got 4 hours, 5 minutes. So that to me was a huge accomplishment. At the finish line, I sought out my friend thinking she'd already be there, and she wasn't. So it took me a little time to find her, and then realized that she hadn't finished ahead of me. Instead, she finished after me. When I did find her, she was crying, upset. I really thought she was really injured or something had happened along the course. And of course, she did tell me that she was having some troubles from mile 9 on. She was just not feeling right, and she had considered quitting a couple of times, and she was super upset. This was the worst race she's ever had, and she was so angry and upset with herself, and it could have been this reason or that reason. In the meantime, I'm elated and happy. I finished this great race. It was a lot of fun. It took a lot of preparation. I'm going through so many things, and I accomplished something that was huge. I never thought I could accomplish. So my finisher story, I guess, is I felt like I didn't get to super celebrate my accomplishment because I felt like I needed to support her and, let her know, of course, we all have bad days, but you just had a tough day and you finished a marathon. That's amazing. But she just didn't want to hear it. And so I felt like my finish was a bit deflated. So hopefully the next marathon will be that much sweeter.
That's a little bit of a sad story.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. So Megan, thanks for sharing that story, because I think it is hard to celebrate your own accomplishments when someone else has had like a crappy run. Like when someone else went out for a goal and then didn't meet that goal or didn't feel well, and you felt great and you just felt like, I don't know, your shoes had wings. We all have those runs, right? Where you're in the zone, and then afterwards you die. I mean, Aaron, that's how you won your race, because Michael crapped out.
And
pretty much. Yeah.
When we talked about that was actually I remember that feeling too of is it okay that I leave him? Is he going to be and we were just getting to know each other at that time. So in my head, I was like, is he going to be okay? What kind of guy is he? Is he going to be upset or sad that I left him, or that I did better than him? I had no idea what his reaction was going to be to this. This was his goal race. Luckily, it was not that reaction. I had the opposite reaction, and he was at the finish line and super proud and happy. So I got lucky about that. But so 4 weeks ago, I took Megan out for dinner to celebrate her marathon. Because we're going out to dinner this week to celebrate her.
It was delicious.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yay! It was delicious. We cheered a lot and drank some wine and some beer to celebrate her marathon accomplishments.
But I think that does come with maturing in your experience in races, in that no matter what, you have to separate the individual accomplishment or the individual experience from the group experience or the group accomplishment.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I get anxiety if we're doing a big group run, especially call it a Space Coast a couple days yesterday or whatever. I know it's a fun run, but if it wasn't a fun run, I'd be I don't want these fast people to be slowed down by my pace, which is different than their pace. Not a negative thing, but it's okay to celebrate your successes regardless of what's going on around you.
Yeah.
You can
Irregardless.
Irregardless. You can support your friend and absolutely, commiserate, but does not take away from anything that you've done yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
No, I agree. I felt a little sad for her because when she described it to me, like her friend was so inside of herself. Like I feel like she couldn't even separate, like just be like, "Hey, great job! You did a great job, though," and want to like celebrate her or say like, "You are awesome." Like she was just too inside of herself. So I feel like that's a little sad too.
Yeah, that's hard.
All right. Who do we have next? Oh, right. We have another Megan. Megan is one of our newer listeners, found from the Perfectly Imperfect Maria group. So this is Megan.
Hey, We'll Run for Podcast. This is Megan, _Megan on Instagram. And I have two favorite finish lines. My first one would have to be from 2006 or 2007, my very first taste of distance running, the Shamrock Shuffle 5K in Chicagoland area. It was the first time that I was like, hey, maybe this long distance running thing isn't so bad. Up until then, I had just been a strict sprinter. I was in track and everything, but if I had to run more than a mile, I would cry. My second favorite finish line, more recent though, is the Run Disney Half Marathon in 2020. I went into it undertrained, really thinking that I wasn't going to finish, did not think I could run a half marathon at all, but I did it, and I did it under my estimated finish time that I had thought I was going to finish in, and it was just the most fun I've ever had crossing that finish line. I was too emotional for tears, which I am a crier, so that doesn't happen often. So those are my two favorite finish lines, and my other favorite finish line is still yet to come. It'll be this January with all of my Mouseketeers. Can't wait to run with all of you.
Aw.
That's me.
That's a good one.
I'm a Mouseketeer.
That's great.
Yeah. How often do we go into races undertrained, thinking we aren't going to get to that finish line, and then we make it?
Yeah.
Probably too often.
It's funny when you hear her talk about a 5K as a distance race, and I only say that because we had an intern this past summer, and he goes to Boston College, and he's a runner. And I tried to relate to him, being like, hey, I've done a half marathon. He's like, oh, that's ridiculous. That's stupid. Why would you run that? I forget what his event was, but it was maybe a mile. A mile was the longest he'd run.
Yeah.
But he's a sprinter. So I'm like, all right, that's interesting. So it's interesting hearing her talk about that.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah, 3 miles is far.
Yeah. Especially if you're
absolutely.
a sprinter and you only do 1,000-meter runs.
Yeah. Or you're just starting out. 3 miles is far.
Yeah. Oh,
Megan,
when you're just starting out, I agree.
You should try run-walk intervals at a 13 or 15-minute pace. It's awesome.
All right. What else do we got? We have Robert. Our friend Robert from the Striders.
Hi, Will Run for family. This is Robert. My finish line moment was at Cayuga Trail's 50-miler in May of 21. And several other South Jersey friends had gone up to run the 50K or drop from the 50-miler to the 50K. So I was doing the 50-miler by myself and really pushing the limit on the cutoff. Finally finished, and there they all were. Some of them had been waiting for a couple of hours since they finished the 50K, and I guess they had nowhere else to go. They were all waiting for me at the finish line in the dark. It was pretty cool. Thanks.
Oh,
that's a good
so
one.
Great.
That's another good one. I could cry again about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming across, do you do something hard? Your friends are there waiting for you, knowing that they've waited for a couple hours for you. Gosh, darn it, Robert. Thank you for making me cry again. Okay. Our last voice memo is Susanna.
Hi there, Will Run 4 family. This is Susanna, and my finish line feeling story is that one that was a feeling of accomplishment once we got to the top of Mount Washington Road Race. Once we climbed up the 7+ miles up the mountain, we got to the finish line. I knew I can tackle anything in any race, and knew that I can accomplish anything my mind and my body was trained to do.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Mount
Washington
hard,
is like what? The seventh, it's 7,000 feet, just one road straight up?
Straight up, yeah.
Like for 7 miles, it's like just a straight up incline?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what that is?
Yep.
My
Oh my gosh. Susanna's so great. Oh my gosh. I just watched those videos of her like dancing while she was doing the Chicago Marathon.
Oh my
She's
God.
so stinking cute.
Do you know that somehow the guy she randomly danced with, like someone saw her video who saw like another video and it got passed down to the guy who she danced with, and her and the guy she danced with connected, and like it turns out that guy's doing New York Marathon and she's going to New York Marathon, so they're going to meet up.
Oh, that's funny. Oh my God.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So funny. She just shared it on her. Yeah. Strangers on the internet.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Just like some random guy who was like running by her just started dancing with her as she was dancing.
Oh,
That's
man.
so freaking amazing.
So funny.
Can I just say, I am loving hearing all of these voice memos. I think they're so great. Thank you guys for just sending them in. I know. A few of you were nervous. You were complaining to Aaron. So thank you guys. We love it.
Yeah, I do. All right. Well, we got a couple more from the community that wrote in as well besides the voicemails. So we have Jay Hall, who said that every Disneyland Run Disney half marathon race she's ever completed, she's done it with She has done so with a freshly purchased chocolate milk in hand from 7-Eleven that they pass on the way to the finish. Since RD doesn't offer chocolate milk, I figured out how to get it on her own. I figured out how to get it on my own. Michael's favorite drink in the entire world.
I will never, ever understand this. I'm sorry.
I'm a major fan. Jen, I'm with you.
Me too. I like it after a race.
Love it.
I told you the magic thing is a chocolate milkshake. That was my thing. And that's why I put on so much weight, honestly, marathon training, because that was my treat. It's like a reward.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We have Dawn B, who I believe was Dawn B Disney on Instagram. She emailed us in and said that her favorite finish line was her first half, Nike Women's 2013 in Washington, D.C. She ran it with her older sister, who had was a lymphoma survivor, and the person who talked me into it. Wow, that's awesome.
Get after it. I love that.
They crossed the finish line hand in hand with tears of joy that I was able to share the moment with her. We've run other races together for team and training in honor of survivors and in memory of others, but the first will always be my favorite. Plus, the finisher's medal was a Tiffany's necklace. What?
Whoa.
What?
So win-win. Sorry, this isn't a voice message. I think my voice sounds weird on recording.
Yeah, no, everybody thinks.
I feel like everyone felt that way.
Yeah.
I had to convince people that it was fine.
Yeah. That is a great
yes,
story.
but that's an amazing
That's an
story.
awesome one.
And what Tiffany's necklace? Why wasn't I running in 2013?
Yeah, what run was that again in DC?
The Nike's women's something. I don't know. He scrolled, so I can't see it.
In Washington, D.C.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but just the story in general,
the
family,
story's awesome, is what I mean, yeah.
Cancer survivor. Oh my God.
All right. So one of our friends, Sean, who I've known literally my entire life, he's got milky white thighs. He says, I regularly finish the Celtic Solstice 5-miler and then do my best not to puke. I'm not sure if that's a good finish line feeling or not. I think that's a fine feeling, Sean. And every single year I say that I'm going to join you at the Celtic Solstice. It might be this year. Who knows? By the time you hear this, I might have already registered.
He runs too fast. I see him every year at the start line with his thighs, and then Never after the race because he finishes so quick.
Oh my god.
Then we have our friend Kate, my soulmate Kate.
How dare you?
I know. I can't figure out my voice memo, but a memorable finish line story was from the Baltimore Women's Classic with Diana, Nikki, and Nicole. I was almost 8 months pregnant with my second kiddo and hadn't been treating my body well since having my first. It was nice to know that my body remembered how to handle a race, even if it was only a 5K. Plus, I couldn't have asked for a better group to run with. Kate, you're amazing. We say this every time you come up in conversation, but it's still true.
Yep, so great.
Steve Moss. My first marathon, I dropped a water bottle 100 yards from the finish and had to go back for it after finishing since the end was gated off.
Oh, my God.
That must suck. Oh, my God. That's funny. Amy Chase, I could share something sappy, but honestly, every finish line with the chips and plastic cheese is my favorite finish line. Again, another thing I don't understand. That cheese is disgusting.
That's amazing.
The cheese is so great.
Amazing.
And the chips are so salty.
So
oh
salty.
My God.
Like, I get the chips, but that cheese is just terrible.
The combination of it.
Oh, God. I apologize. I'm downing everybody's finish line things, but plastic cheese and chips at the finish line. Finding friends who saved theirs for me is also a favorite. Shout out to Jennifer Lowe.
Aw,
of course.
Yay.
Laura Duxon, to add to my voice memo, I highly recommend finishing with a drink in hand. Yeah, that's a good one. 2019 full marathon iced chai tea latte because the margarita line was too long. 2020, I bought a vodka slushie in Africa. By the time I got to the finish, all the ice was gone and it was all liquid.
Oh, God. Yeah, 2020 was the year it was like
87
degrees.
Yeah.
Guys, we got a last-minute addition.
Uh-oh.
I just checked our email right before we finished recording. Thank goodness. We have a Christy Williams who says that she is somewhat new to the podcast, but has been listening for nearly half of them in the past month, and she absolutely loves it.
Aw.
What?
Thank you.
What is this world that we live in where people like binge us?
Don't down it. Don't down it. Thank you very much for listening is what Aaron meant to say.
Oh, yes, very much for listening. Christy Lynn 513 on Instagram. Here's my finish line story from 2017 WDW Marathon.
Oh, that's my year.
My top finish line memory was the Walt Disney Marathon 2017. I had signed up for Goofy, the Goofy Challenge. The year before I had done the Dopey. And this was quite the weekend. This was the year in 2017 when the half marathon was canceled due to terrible lightning, thunder, rain, horrible weather. And so it was just not safe for volunteers and runners to be on the course around Disney. That whole day was just odd. It was just very bizarre. Everyone was running around trying to get their own half marathon in, whether it be the hotel treadmills or around the hotels. So it was just kind of a weird feeling. That night, the hotel we were staying at, which will not be disclosed, had the fire alarm go off 4 different times. So we got no sleep that night at all. Then come to the marathon and it was freezing. It was beyond cold and just kept getting colder. And I just was miserable. And I got to the Wide World of Sports part and I just wanted to give up. I was just like, this is just not even worth the finish at this point. I don't care how close I am. And I had texted family members and just like really asking to help push through. And to my surprise, I finished, and my parents, who had just gotten back from their 7-day cruise from Tampa, ended up surprising me at the finish line. I saw them when I came out of Epcot, and my mom kind of ran down the edge of the fencing with me until I finished. And I was just a ball of tears and exhausted. And it was just a memory I will hold on to forever. So this is Christy. Thank you for letting me share.
Oh, that was good.
Welcome, Christy. That was awesome. That's a great story.
Yeah, it's funny how many stories we get from 2017, the most memorable year in Disney marathoning, for sure.
Well, that's all we got, guys.
Yeah, it was a good one.
No, this is great. I love hearing everyone's stories.
Yeah, so I guess our collective something good is all of these voice memos and stories and all of these amazing people.
100%. It definitely is.
We've talked about it like sort of through this, like the run community is what makes that finish line as amazing as it is. And so like just all of your feedback, all of your stories are what help keep us inspired and keep wanting to get back to that finish line again. So
yeah, 100%. It's so funny. Every time I feel like I don't want to go out for a run or I'm like, oh God, do I really have to do it today? I think about somebody in our running community and I'm like, well, they're out there doing something. Like today, it was honestly, I did not want to do those 9 miles. My whole body hurts, but Perfectly Imperfect Maria has been out there dopey training.
Yeah.
And I was like, if she can get out there and get her miles in, I can do 9 miles today.
Yeah.
It's fine. And I was honestly thinking about her a lot while I was running.
Aw. All right.
So sweet.
Well,
all right. Tom,
I gotta go put some meatballs in the oven.
Whoop, whoop. I was gonna say, Tom, what weirdness are you gonna end this with today?
It's not weird. So again, thank you, everyone. This is Tom for Aaron, Michael, and Diana, reminding you that when it's all said and done, the finish line doesn't care how many miles you have ran or how fast you have gone. It just cares that you have arrived.
It's actually pretty sweet and sentimental. And in line with how I feel about this episode.
1000%. Also, like, follow, subscribe, all that goodness.
Yeah.
And
See.
hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.